guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, in this week's Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber, and he wanted to know if he should, in my opinion, help out one of his fellow coworkers who's seriously in need of some RP content. That his coworker is the typical nice guy. He's engaged to a gal who is a nurse, who likes to go on girls' weekends to Cancun and all that quite regularly, who makes way more money than him, who he obviously treats like the queen, does everything for her. He's a giver, sounds like she's a taker. He wants to know if he should help him out because he can obviously see that this guy's making a ton of mistakes that so many guys do in the videos I go over, and the guy's a good guy. He wants to help him out. So I'm going to go through his thing here, guys, and then I will break this down in terms of like the reasons why I have issue with some of the things he's talking about here and what I think he should do. Because I'm sure there isn't many of you, there's probably plenty of you guys out there that watch this and know at least one guy that definitely is in a situation that he's just setting himself up for trouble. However, as I'm sure also you're aware, that most guys don't want to hear this. They have a certain perspective or view on this type of content, obviously spread by the media. They look at it a different way, and you really want to help them, but they don't want to hear it. So I'm going to go through this real quick, and then I will break it down. This guy says, Dear SSM, I occasionally work in a warehouse where one of my coworkers has a nice guy personality. He is currently engaged to a nurse who he cannot hear anything bad about. Just a few things I've talked to him about, I picked up 2 or 3 serious red flags. Number 1, for starters, he is simping. Nice guy at it. Nice guying it up. I've heard him talk about the nice things he does for her, but I never heard the nice things that she does for him. Number 2, he mentioned he is so happy that she and her nurse friends can go on girls' weekends down to Cancun without him. My big question is, she significantly makes more money than he does, so should I, A, thrust a red pill into his mouth and burst his bubble, or B, let him ride it out, hopefully he gets alimony. Or option 3 is if he's going to sign a prenup, I'll force the RP, what should I do? Okay, so I'm going to break this down. Now, the first thing he mentions is that he does all these nice things for her, but she never does anything nice things back. Well, that's a giant red flag because it sounds like he's a giver and she's a taker. Now, typically nice guys have the idea in their head, and we usually have a good idea where this idea comes from, the movies, that I'm going to make all these sacrifices for my girl. I'm going to sacrifice my hopes, my dreams, what makes me happy to make her happy. To put her on the pedestal, treat her like the queen, make her the center of my universe and all that. And she'll love me so much because of it. In reality, what happens is the woman loses all respect for a guy who does that. And she'll then either break up with him, if he's lucky, or cheat for a while, keep him around for his resources or to have a guy, or worse yet, marry him, and then eventually break up with him or divorce him. This is not the way to go. And if this guy's like this, he cannot be this way. And if you guys are like this, you can't be this way. I'm not saying you don't do good things for your girl if she deserves it, if she's good to you, if she's loving and loyal and supportive and there's no red flags going on. Then, by all means, do nice things for her. But you still don't kiss her ass and treat her like the queen and make her the center of the universe and sacrifice your wants and dreams. You don't do that for anybody. Women do not respect guys that are pushovers, and if they don't respect you, they won't love you, and bad things can happen. That's where he's going wrong. Number 2, she's a nurse and regularly goes on girls' weekends to Cancun or other places without him. There's a certain stereotype and pattern I'm sure many of you guys have noticed in the stories, and personal stories and all that, about the nurses. They have a reputation, so this guy's to be very careful. And she likes to go on these girls' weekends without him, or girls' trips. Now, in a perfect world, girls can go out with her friends the way guys can go out with their bros. No problem. There, as you guys are well aware, there's certain stereotypes that happens with these girls' weekends. And given the fact that they're a bunch of nurses, which already has a giant red flag and a certain stereotype there, and the fact that he's a giver and she's a taker, this doesn't go very well. Third thing, he says here that she makes more money than he does, okay? Again, the politically correct narrative is that it doesn't make a difference. If the woman makes more money than the man, she'll love him anyway. It shouldn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Well, in reality, when a woman always wants to feel like they got themselves the best deal they can. They got themselves a prize. And typically, a prize is a guy that makes at least bare freaking minimum 50% more than, preferably double or more. Then they see they got themselves a prize, right? But a guy that makes less than them, they didn't get a prize. They're settling. They don't want to settle. But they will settle eventually when they realize, well, the clock's ticking. I'm 28. I'm going to be 30 soon. I don't want to be 30 and no ring on my finger. All my other girls are getting married. So I'm going to find myself a nice guy. And even if he makes less, I can still run the show. Bad place to be. Again, when it comes to political correctness, which you're not going to get here, ever, they say it's okay, but it doesn't work. And I've done plenty of stories. I've done them for a while. It's been a long time since I did a story about a guy who's in a situation where he made less than his girl, or he was a stay-at-home dad and she made all the money, and the dynamic, how bad that is. But I should do one soon. Hopefully somebody will send me a story. It's not a good thing. And again, I'm going to lead to the fact that what if they got married and she had kids? He'd be a stay-at-home dad. Because if she's making more and she's in the higher status, that's in a way taking the role as the masculine figure in the relationship, while he's taking the role as the feminine one. Particularly if they got married and she worked and he didn't, and he took care of the kids. Bad place to be. She'll resent him, he'll resent her. So you can see, guys, there's a lot of red flags here. Now, should this guy tell his buddy? Well, ideally, as a good friend, you would want to tell them things to help them that they obviously don't want to hear. A good friend would do that. Problem is, most guys don't want to hear this. Most guys do not. Well, I don't know any guy ever wants to hear that his girl is not what she seems, because it makes him feel like shit. Makes him feel like a loser because he chose wrong, that he didn't screen her properly. So it's an insult to him. Also, if he's deeply in love with her, he doesn't want to think that she would do these awful things. People will then be in denial. So if this guy tells him this stuff, he could risk him losing a friend. Now, he says he's a coworker, so I don't know if they hang out outside of work, but I'm assuming they're good enough buddies that he doesn't want to lose him as a friend or could jeopardize things in the workplace. So if you care about him, then I would tell him. But the thing is, how you do it depends on his personality. I'm a person that likes to be given things directly and be blunt, but not everybody's like that. Personally, I think that if you see a problem and you care about the guy, then I would tell him, as any guy in a situation like this. But understand that he may be resentful by you telling him, and that could end your friendship. And then how you go about it's another thing. You could try the hinting thing, like, you should check out this channel, Strong Successful Male. He may never look at it, because a lot of guys don't want to think that they're doing something wrong or need improvement, you know? And if he is, as you described, this far, he's probably very, as we say, blue pill. And those guys do not want to hear these things, and they also hate on guys like us that see reality, okay? He's been obviously so brainwashed by the narrative, and if you tell him and he rejects you, then I would say, then that's it. I would give him I'd take one moment to use your abilities in the best way you can, because you can feel that, know what he's like, to share this information to him, and then if he doesn't want to hear it, then that's it. You tried, okay? Don't just keep hammering at him, because that's just going to make him crazy. In fact, that can make him reject what you're saying and make it even worse. He might even go to her and say, look at this BS this guy's telling me at work. But what you can do is share that information with him. And this goes for any other guy in a situation like this. Mention this stuff, share this information, share what he thinks, say you're concerned, want him to be all right. And if he rejects it, that's that. And then what you do is back away, and what happens, happens. And if down the road he comes to you because everything that you see a problem and I can see a problem ends up becoming a big problem for him, then you can say, okay, bro, and don't say I told you so, because even though it's tempting, here's the information here. Here is why I saw the problems. Here's this dude on YouTube, that jackass in the car with the sunglasses. He knows what he's talking about. And here's other channels to help him out. That's all you can do. And this goes for any other guy in a situation like this. I had a guy months ago who asked me the same question about a buddy of his. I wouldn't say a good friend, but a buddy, and that guy just did not want to hear it. And the story, he was married to this awful woman that wanted to do open relationship, and the guy was so pee-whipped that she just walked all over him. But the guy just simply didn't want to hear it, and he ended up telling her about what that guy did. It was a whole shit show. So, and I will also say this, bro, you don't also want to have somebody in your inner circle that's so like this, blue pill and all that, because they'll rub off on you. You know, there's a saying that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if a guy spends all his time with other dudes that are not ambitious, don't take care of themselves, aren't going anywhere in life, they're going to rub off on you. On the other hand, if a guy spends time with guys that are ambitious, they're goal-oriented, trying to move up in the world, that's going to help you too. Or if a guy hangs around people that exercise a lot and are healthy, that'll help you. Or a bunch of dudes that don't do anything, eat like shit, drink all the time, don't go to the gym, don't exercise, that'll rub off on you. So you have to question whether you want to hang out with somebody that is this blue pill. It's going to rub off on you, and it's also going to make you crazy. So really consider that. If this guy doesn't want to hear it, and if he shrugs it off, saying, I appreciate it, but I don't want it, not my thing, that's one thing. But if he's a total jerk about it, I'd cut him off and move on. Let him learn the hard way. Because a lot of people have to learn the hard way. That's my experience in life. I've had guys write to me who said they first saw my channel and they thought I was a total jackass, didn't like what I said, but they still watched because they found it entertaining. And then down the road, they found out that their girlfriend or their wife was pulling the same BS that dudes were in the stories and articles I go over, and they then learned the hard way and then reluctantly admitted that I was right. And they were grateful, but they didn't want to hear it at first. They had to learn the hard way. So he may have to learn the hard way, but at least make it your best effort. Say something to him. And if he's not interested, okay, you did your part, end of story. So guys, there you go. So if you're in a situation like this guy, whether it's a coworker or friend or family member, and you see a serious problem, I'd say something. If you care, say something. But do remember, they may resent you for it, so just be aware of that and handle it accordingly. All right, guys, that's it for today. It's a quick one, but I thought it'd be a good one here because a lot of guys out there need help. And slowly but surely, as you can see by the subscriber growth to this channel, as you can see over time that the views for all my videos are just getting higher and higher and higher, more guys are opening up to these things that I talk about and other dudes talk about. And hopefully more you guys talk about and spread the word. More and more guys will not have to suffer because of the current BS narrative that's out there. Saving one brother at a time. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Then what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Any suggestions for this guy? If you've been in a situation where you sent this information to somebody else that you wanted to help, how did it go? What were some suggestions you learned, either things that worked or didn't work? Let this guy know because he will read all the comments. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.